Here we go. We must be going, right? That screen said I was live. Hey everybody, Nate Beyer, GX3 Media. Welcome to our fifth episode of our late night photo flips. We're going to flip through some photos because I have a lot to get through, and let's just get started because we have a lot to get through. Let's share that whole screen there. Go through this. So we had a big day Saturday. I think it was a 6-county day. By 6 counties, I mean, I think I was in 6 different counties. Let's see. Woke up Monroe, Juneau, Vernon, Richland, back into La Crosse, Trempealeau. Yeah, that's 6. Am I missing somebody? No. All right. We started off with wrestling. Ran down to Richland Center. They were hosting the Southwest Wisconsin Southwest Activities Conference Wrestling Tournament. If you've never been to a good wrestling tournament, this is a really good wrestling tournament. I'm really glad I went, and I'm glad I stayed as long as I did. We're going to go through these photos because there are a lot of them. If we look at I've got 1,600 photos left here. I've ditched a few, but even so, there are a lot. This is where I started my day. It was a great place to start. Yeah, these kids almost fell on me. But I was willing to risk it, mostly because they're lightweights, and them falling on me is not the same as 2 heavyweight wrestlers. Anyways, I like seeing this tournament. I like getting to this tournament simply because it's good wrestling and it's a full tournament. I've been disappointed with my own conference tournament, the Scenic Ridge and Rivers tournament, because we have such anemic brackets. There are some kids that will end up in a championship match simply because there's nobody else there. It's a 3-man bracket. It's happened, and it's really disappointing. That tournament used to be really, really, really strong as well, but it's changed as wrestling's changed. Anyways, this is a fun tournament. Long day. They ran a bunch of JV matches. I got there around 10:30, and I saw everybody wrestle a bunch, I think. I stayed through into the semifinals, and I left partway through the semis because there's too much wrestling or too many other sport things that I needed to get to. Anyways, we had a fun day. We had a really fun day. Let's go back for emphasis. Can we do this? Stop sharing and just look at me. Good. Yeah. Okay. The first half of my time at Richland Center, it was all about shooting the action, the thing in front of me. Those 2 guys are wrestling. We're going to shoot that. And I felt very, very restrictive, plain. I don't want to say boring, but that's what it was. It was very much a workman's way to approach a tournament. Go in, get as many faces as you can. However, the thing that gets me excited about wrestling is to reinvent how we see it. That's what a photographer is supposed to do. Reinvent how you see it. I'm going to borrow this broken camera here. Okay. We can shoot our image, or do we shoot our image and present it differently? Again, the role of a photographer, a good photographer, is to present the boring and the mundane in a different way to make us think. So before I go back into our galleries, because I see where I'm at in the gallery, again, the first half of the day, very workmanlike. Get this kid, get this kid, get this kid. Oh, I heard that name. I see that singlet. I want to see those kids wrestle, compete. However, I hit a certain point where I said, stop, get up, give up everything on the mat, just go walk around and go find those stalker images. You know what that stalker image looks like, right? When it comes to wrestling, here, it looks like this. And they have the things, especially it looks really good when they've got things in their ears. Wait, like this. Anyways, I wanted some of those images. So we dialed in and we got some weird stuff. So let's go back into this and let's talk about some of the things we were seeing. Um, because I think that there were some interesting images that I started to share, and I'm just going to hold on to them. All right, let's go back. Let's share this here. We want to share that whole screen so you can follow along with me. All right. I love that effect. All right, let's start with this. I remember sitting mat side, watching a Fenimore match going on. This is a warm up that one of the kids left next to his coach. Again, I didn't move it, I didn't touch it. You just find it. It's kind of that found art sort of thing. And again, I love the actual stitching instead of just the sublimated colors. There's something interesting about that. When I get to the point where I can take this particular thing into the editing bay, it's going to come out different than that. I watched a kid hold on the headgear. Again, I love the headgear. I love, wrestling has a very limited amount of stuff that goes with it. Football has all these pads. Hockey has all this gear. Even baseball has a number of things that go with it. Wrestling's pretty basic. So when you find the implements of destruction, I'm going to call them, it's fun to kind of use those. All right. Again, I'm shooting the screen with the action happening right behind the screen. It's an interesting way to re-perceive how we look at wrestling. Okay. And like I said, I was looking for a bunch of stalking photos because I think the stalking looked good. But the other thing, once I changed my mindset, instead of shooting tight and predictably, I tried to work wide. I was hoping for mat side stuff. I really didn't get a lot. Again, it's pretty rare for them to end up on the edge of the mat, and even if it isn't rare, you just don't get it all the time. I'm sorry, it is rare. So you just don't get it all the time. You don't always have the option to wait for a beautiful image right at the edge of the mat. If I'm shooting wide, I'm shooting with a 15 millimeter lens, which is extremely wide. If I get lucky, I might get them falling down or might get a pin in front of me. If I get like top 5 ever lucky, they're trying to set up and shoot a single leg takedown, where they have the one leg up in the air and the other leg, and they're facing me and they're at the edge of the mat. Having that checklist fall into place is extremely rare. So these are my first images as I showed up. We found some different things. Do I know all the kids wrestling? No. I look at jerseys, look at singlets, and we'll figure out the names later on. Did I care if it was a quarterfinal? Well, I've kind of figured that's where we were in the day. Shoot. Go find kids, capture images, tell stories. And like I said, a lot of the stuff we're going to see here is going to feel really basic because that's exactly what it is. We are collecting images. Again, these types of takedowns always look good. These types of images are very functional for me as a photo editor, for a publication. Most of these photos we're going to be okay with. It shows something going on. Obviously, this one doesn't work because they're out of focus. But again, look, we have that takedown look, and that always looks good. Always looks good. That creates a different image than two guys rolling around on the mat. Again, you heard me talk about it before. I think I did something last weekend about this. Bout numbers versus weight classes. Personally, I would prefer the weight classes because now I know what I'm looking for versus the bout numbers. When I go back into, let's say, USA bracketing and try to figure out which match this is, I could figure out, if this is a whatever 140-pound match or 138 pounds, whatever the weight class is in that area. Early round, second round, Lancaster, Rich and Center, I could figure that out. But now it's about 26. I've got to do a lot of hunting in order to figure that out. I had a fun day here. It went faster than I thought. Like I said, I was there from about 10:30 until 12:30, so about 2 hours. I got through most of quarters, and most of finals. or semifinals. And then I left because again, I had other obligations. In that time, I just kept working. I kept moving, kept shaking, kept trying some different things. And I think that's okay. You're not going to see maybe some of the best stuff. Like I said, I've got a lot of images to get knocked out, but it was fun because the wrestling's good, because their brackets are solid, because they have a number of either state ranked or well, a number of state champions at this tournament. That makes it fun because you know that you've got quality individuals, and sometimes they, as much as they, like in a duel, you're bumping away from each other, so your good kids can score points instead of just come up with a good match. Here, they're not really ducking or dodging anybody. They're going head to head because they want to be a conference champion. So, what are the pitfalls of wrestling? You might see it here eventually. Officials get in the way. We have heads that are down. We have mats that are black or orange and throw a weird color cast. It's a lot of sitting on your butt time. It is, and even though it's not that physically demanding, it's a mental grind to sit there all day and break your tailbone. Now, I got to a certain point. This is a good example where we see these hands in the middle of this image, gripping and fighting. Again, there isn't a face here, so I don't love the image, but I started to see this tournament differently than just pins and takedowns and shots and stoic looks to the scoreboard. I started to see this tournament as what kind of weird conflict can we create or can we see between the two individuals? And this, in the center of this image, I think we're going to see more of that as we move on because I started to see the whole thing differently. And again, I haven't looked at these. It took a while for them to kind of load and to process. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to get into as I move through this, and I'm really excited about it. If I haven't made that clear before, I'm going to make it clear again. Really excited about the surprise that comes when I can't see an image the night of. We had a long day yesterday. Again, I started here. I worked 2 hours here. So for me, I got up, took my sweet time leaving. Richmond Center is about an hour south of where I live. So then you got to make the hustle there. And then it's an hour back to civilization-ish, or where I had planned on going. And I think I finished about an hour and a half north of home. Yeah, we put on a lot of miles and spent a lot of time on the road. But these weekends, like I explained last weekend, we have to take advantage of them when we have them. The weather was good. It was nice out. I think it was actually not terribly cold. And this was like I said, this tournament was fun because it's wrestling teams I don't get a chance to see all the time. Wrestling teams that, again, I like wrestling, but around home, it's hard to get excited about it because we don't have full teams and we really don't have a lot of strong individuals. And here it's different. And maybe it's the grass looks and feels greener on the other side, but it is different. I mean, we've got so many teams that are just their lineups are riddled with forfeits because they just don't have the kids. That doesn't create a great product to go watch on a Tuesday night. Even on a Saturday, sometimes it doesn't. But you'll see when we get to the Cashton tournament, because again, those teams are built vastly differently than these teams. Some of the things that we're going to be looking for. Again, we're still in the middle of the early part of this tournament. We're going to jump ahead. I think that's a smart idea. I'm kind of curious to see some of our later stuff because I started to move. That was a big thing. Instead of just sitting in the same spot, I started to move around. So let's go look at some of we're going to call it our artsy stuff because there are a couple series of things where, again, here, this is fun. Now, I love putting the camera on the ground. This photo looks vastly different, even if I'm sitting on the ground, holding it up to my eye. But camera's on the ground, so your eye level with the wrestler that's in control. If you can feel, let's see if I can zoom in on this. Okay. There's pain, there's struggle. What I like about wrestling, there's always good. There's always some sort of easy to find conflict because it's a one-on-one type sport. And I knew, yeah, these are good. There's a lot of good stuff here. Again, I like you're going to see as we go forward. If I keep doing this, you're going to see when it comes to baseball and softball. I love the portrait. Football, I love the portrait, the sportrait, if you will. Okay, this is a good example of that. You're going to see some more coming up here um, as I get into some of the, find those stalkers. I think that's the best way to describe them, the stalkers. Those that are just getting psyched up for their next match. This is an interesting photo because both feet are off the ground. Again, he was in the zone, pacing back and forth, ready for his match or getting ready for his next match. It's hard, like for these types of photos, I want to be hidden as much as possible. I want to be a fly on the wall so I can get, our kids or athletes in their most natural state. Not I don't want to coax something out of them that isn't there. I get that. I've been getting that. I feel like more and more the past 5, 6, 7 years. Certain cross country runners run past and they, flip a thumbs up for their wave or whatever. And honestly, I don't want that. I just want them to be in their element. There's a time and a place, and during competition, that's not the time or place. Yeah, I moved around because I also wanted to make sure I shot the cheerleaders. I usually would, was sitting next to them so I could see the boards, the scoreboards, and photograph those weights. But I also knew no, I know that they're part of the day as well. Um, for these girls that participate in wrestling, cheerleading, like it's a big deal. Wrestling, cheerleading is a thing that is almost non-existent anymore. When I was in school, everybody had some sort of wrestling cheerleader, even if it was only 2 of them. But somewhere along the line, that died. I'm sure budget constraints in terms of finding a coach. Maybe it's hard just to find a coach. Period. Yeah, there's a nice black eye that would probably look interesting in black and white. Again, I have to think a little differently as I work. So right now we're in me just floating and not worrying about the matches on the matches on the that are going, but trying to find unique and different things. I think that's okay. It's really hard for me to give up that action shot for possibly nothing. But when you find the one thing, it's almost always worth it. But some of these I think might have been JV matches at this time, so it was hard for me to decipher which one was which. Again, that's why I think the weight classes would have been very helpful instead of the bout numbers on the boards. Again, here, look at this. Where our faces connect and our hands connect. Again, that's that conflict I'm talking about. I love it. Love it. Oh, radio guys. Radio guys need a little bit of love, don't they? I would go up and say hi, but again, during a wrestling tournament, they don't have time to talk to anybody. They don't get breaks because there's always somebody wrestling from their coverage area. The one thing I think I'm missing, I could probably use a different lens someplace. At times, I would love to be tighter. Other times, I think I would like maybe to be maybe a little wider. If you're watching this and you don't like wrestling, you're going to get bored by seeing some of the stuff we're shooting because you aren't going to necessarily love the sport. But again, there's no other sport like it. It's one-on-one combat in about the safest way possible, at least kind of at the high school level. We have some interesting photos here. So this is what I did. Now we set the camera down. So here's my camera again. But now we also are on the ground and we have turned the camera now. So it's shooting a vertical photograph. Thanks, camera. Um, I like it. It's really for wrestling, it's tough because wrestling is a very horizontal sport. To create a vertical wrestling photo is tough, but there's a way to take a photo like this, crop it, and make it look really good. I think the perspective is very different. And I know that I could crop other things. Like I could have photographed this landscape, cropped it. It just doesn't hit the same way. Oh yeah, I do remember this photo because it was a very like the focus managed to stick to his face, but he's underneath and looking between his legs. It's again to me it was a little weird and a little wacky, but I was not going to complain. Kind of one of those happy little accidents. Um, Anyways, I'm going to try to keep this short because I've got some places to be tonight, and I want to get through some of our other things. As you can see, we watched wrestling happen. It was good. I really like shooting wrestling. This time of year, I love shooting wrestling because I've been number one, burned out by basketball. Number two, hockey is fine, but I get burned out from fighting a number of things. Glass is too tall. There is glass there. My angles are very limited because of the restriction of the glass. I can't get in front and underneath the eye level of our athletes, and that's a problem to me. Ah, there, that's the I remember that. Yes, very happy with that photo. I knew I had it someplace, forgot. Yeah, that turned out just like I did, just like I intended it to. Some of these Prairie du Chien headgear are just absolutely torched. They I showed this, I think, in my last episode. I think some photos from our duel the other night at the duel at Prairie. I think I flipped a photo to black and white, and I think his headgear was kind of cracked up like this, like these were. Honestly, it looks better when it's all beaten up. I recommend keeping, if for no other reason. It's a kind of a cool prop, depending on how you use it. If you use it for things, it looks worn, it looks weathered, and that's perfect for wrestling. Yeah, I was surprised that they ran their conference tournament as early as they did. Usually it's next weekend. So I kind of had to pivot, make some hard decisions, and say, I guess we're going to skip A, B, and C, and we're going to be here instead. Now, fortunately for wrestling, there's nothing else really happening in the beginning of the day. Yesterday, um, Cashton had a wrestling tournament. There were tournaments at, I think, girls' tournament in Eau Claire, girls' tournament in Menominee, but all the wrestling, if you do it right, I can get it done by noon. And usually basketball isn't starting until after the noon hour. That just means I can go in, shoot wrestling first. If I'm going to make the best use of my day, what do? You go shoot wrestling when nothing else is happening. And then when other things are happening, you go watch the other things. And that is how I maximize my day. There's no secret, or at least not a big secret. Yeah, I remember our detail shots here. Uh, the thing on the ankle, the taped hands. Yeah, details. Like I said, I felt like I was hitting a kind of a creative stride at some point here that uh, just allowed me to see things differently. And you'll see here, I'm shooting really tight. You're losing certain information, I think. But on the other hand, I'm trying to create what I believe is a more interesting image because I'm bringing that action tight, really tight, in a way that we don't always see. All right. Let's get through this match here, and then we're going to move on. And I'm going to flip to our other. Let's flip to another folder. I don't want to keep boring you guys with wrestling. I'll get through it. I know where I'm at. So from there, we went to Cashton. Okay, same thing, Cashton. I think I got through most of these photos, but even so, I got there late. Logan actually shot most of the quarterfinal round, part of the quarterfinal round, and then part of the semifinal round. I jumped in somewhere in the semis. So, like I said, we're going to try to kick through this just so we can get through it. These are some of the images that she grabbed. These are fine. Again, that's a great pin shot. Oh, these kids are excited for their teammate. I like that. Logan comes up with some interesting stuff, and I try not to be too creatively picky about what she does because sometimes you need that different, you need a different perspective. And she has a unique vision that I don't have. Well, yeah, I flipped through some of these already. Of course, I would flip it into the area that I've already kind of called. All right. Again, she found there's a series of these. I knocked a bunch of them out, but of the officials just talking and bantering with each other, probably having some fun talking about something that they probably don't even remember at this point in time. Cashton Wrestling Tournament. If you look at the thumbnail, there's something about the like a team state trophy. That's because they were supposed to honor their 2006 team state runner up squad. That's 20 years ago. So I must have just missed it. So I think this must have been their bus driver because she said their bus driver was there. She said that she struggled to get photos of all the guys kind of together because they didn't really gather together well. And I think that's all she ended up with. They didn't really gather together well. They didn't hand out a trophy. The reunion was just parade them out onto the mat and then they disappeared. Honestly, I was disappointed when I heard that. What I expected was for them to have the actual trophy, the state trophy out, hand it over to him, let him take it, let him hold it again, hold it up, show everybody in the gym that they were good. And I had a conversation with Todd Sommerfeld later in the day. He used to work at the Lacrosse Tribune. Now he runs Cooley Sports online, and he covered Cashton back to 2006. It was kind of in a weird era for me where I wasn't paying attention to anything really outside of some basketball. But he talked about that team. He's like, yeah, that team was a bunch of studs. He's like, that team was a team for the ages. And I said, oh, Paul, now I'm really disappointed that we didn't have an opportunity, or they didn't have an opportunity to take that state trophy and hold it up one more time. So we'll put that on the checklist for what is 20? So 2031. That's 25th anniversary. I think that's fair. Do it bigger, do it better. 25th anniversary is better than a 20th, anyways. Bring them back, make them wrestle each other. You know, make them wrestle each other, make them wrestle like an inter squad scrimmage. 25 years after the fact, that'd be fine. Oh, look, there's me. So I'm here now. And Logan's wondering why I showed up. It was fine. I found a parking spot, so I said I might as well show up and enjoy a little bit of wrestling. Not that I needed more mat time. I really didn't. She wanted to see a couple of Cashton kids. Again, Logan's the editor of the Cashton record. So for her to see some of the Cashton kids, I think was important. I've seen them all a couple times here or there. I end up covering more wrestling than she does. But she's never seen them. So, and she didn't even see him much yesterday. So we compromised and I let her watch the couple kids that she really wanted to. And then we left and she went with me the rest of the day. What do we have? Yeah, we still have 500, 800 photos to go yet. So, let's flip next one. I'm going to kick through these next couple pretty quickly. I went through these last 3 games. I went through already. They're already done, already called, already edited. Luther was at West Salem in boys basketball. They had just played, I believe, the night before. This one was probably a makeup game. We got there and it was already like a 20-point game at halftime. You have to shoot the game a little differently if that's the case, because your winning team is probably going to pull starters. So if you want to see them, you got to focus on them first. We did okay. I did okay. We had some weird stuff. I love this photo. I'm going to put that online before I leave the office today because it looks like he's getting throat punched as he's running to the basket. I think it looks hilarious. Out of context, in context, you probably never would have noticed this thing happen. And it's not I can almost guarantee it's not an intentional punch to the throat. It just happens because bodies move in a certain way and they get stuck in a certain way. But it was good to see West Salem again. At least, it was good to see them in a conference game. We've seen them a couple times, I think, this year, but either I missed starters or it was a non-con game or just, circumstances were what they were. From there, we had a little bit of time to kill, and then we ended up running up to Melrose-Mindoro. We watched them host Independence. Let's look at Logan's photos because her photos are interestinger. I was definitely doing too much talking at the time. Independence, always a well-coached team. We don't get a chance to see them enough. So when we have an opportunity, shoot, 6:30 ball game, let's do it. So I let Logan shoot the Indy side. I shot the Melrose-Mindoro side. I hope that she had fun. They had their youth night, so it would have been nice to stay and see some of that. Logan likes to do some of those sports adjacent photo things that I think everybody actually ends up liking. I just don't have the mental capacity to do it because at that point in time, I want to break. I want to go talk to people because it's halftime. Anyways, we went from there and then we made a quick run as quick as we could up to Whitehall. They were hosting Eleva-Strum. Important game only because we hadn't seen either team. Eleva-Strum, I think, is ranked number 1 in Division 5. They're undefeated. We walked in and they were down 4 or 5. Oh, fun bench shot. Good job, Whitehall. But again, they were controlling the first half, and it really took some discipline and some luck and some shots to fall for Eleva-Strum to pull ahead in that second half. So these are Logan's photos. We kind of each took a half of the gym again and worked. She came up with some interesting things, but because we had a lot of time at the game, I didn't say just shoot this team. So she kind of shot both ways. That Whitehall gym though is dark. That it's the dark brick. It is the black mats, like you can see here, black doors. There's so much black that just sucks up all the light. The lights aren't great to begin with. So that light gets absorbed by other things. I love this photo, and I'll tell you why. It's a wide shot, but yet you see this little vignette on the bottom of the actual crowd. This is why Logan's good at what she does, because she's trying to see the game and she's trying to present the game differently to you, the viewer. I also like this. It's not a shot. I think she's trying to pass the ball or she's trying to launch it at whatever. If I remember correctly, this might have been a play where this ball actually hit the backboard, like the side of the backboard, and ricocheted back out to like where number 1 is standing. It was weird. I'm sitting in the corner in the lower right-hand side of this photograph buried by people. I was trying to run some video. I got murdered. I struggled. Video all day. I just got murdered. Logan came up with some really good stuff, but again, I had a backup shooter, so I didn't have to worry quite so much. But she did a really good job, I think, of shooting Whitehall, doing some cool stuff. Was it a fun place to end? Yes. Keep in mind, though, look at this. Conflict. Love it. We're fighting for the ball. We have 2 faces. We have 4 hands. This photo, cropped, tight, changes everything. You guys want to take this? So 1968. Let's go do this exercise. I like this. I like to show 1968. Let's take this into Photoshop. And let's show you how I would crop this. Okay, so this is the photo. Number 1, I'm going to straighten it. If you look at it, it's crooked. One of my biggest pet peeves are when photos are crooked. I see it all the time. I don't care who it is. I see it at the collegiate level. We are posting crooked photos, crooked because they're sloppy. It's sloppy. Straighten your stuff or make it very deliberately crooked. There's a difference and you can tell. So if you look in my screen here, you can see there are all these presets for shapes and sizes. I'm going to do just a straight, not a preset, but a very, very custom blend of chopping this photo up. If we were to chop this up, the best way, in my opinion, is build the vertical space. This photo would be a fantastic. If this was the only photo I had, This would be a fantastic 3-column wide photograph in a newspaper, and it would probably be 10 inches tall. But, that's pretty big. But again, this shows the game, the struggle. I miss that in a lot of our local newspapers. Good quality artwork. We aren't getting that in our local newspapers. We're getting photos, but we're not getting good photos. And there's a difference. I understand that I am a photographer, but our standards, we've lowered our standards because we don't want to pay for anything. We just want this reporter can go get a photograph. A photograph is not the same as making a piece of art to go in the newspaper. Anybody can shoot some kid dribbling a ball. Having the timing to get a photo like this takes a little bit of talent. Having the wherewithal to pick this photo versus other ones that are just pretty takes a little bit of talent. But then also choosing the correct crop to accentuate what's happening in the image, that's the talent that we've probably lost the most. Anyways, let's flip through a few more of these just so you guys can see what we were shooting. Again, these are Logan shots. I typically don't like shooting the backside of a player one-on-one, but I do see that there is a value in some of that. Same thing here. We can find a way to make this work for us. These banners hang a little low to keep this wall really clean, but if this wall was devoid of anything else, just either a brick wall, or if that wasn't such a strong black wall, or the jersey wasn't black on a black mat, we could really, really, really do something wild with that, I think. Well, at least, when we'd work with it in post. But you have to have the vision to do that. Not everybody has that. Like I said, we enjoyed this day. We enjoyed running around. I know it's a lot of running, but was it worth it? Yeah. To see Eleva-Strum, absolutely. To see Whitehall, absolutely. Absolutely worth it. These teams are good. We don't get a chance to see them all the time. Let's go find them. Very few media organizations will put in the miles and the time and the resources that we do. Yes, it was a lot of resources for us to make the 90-minute drive north of home for half of a ball game. But it was there, and I thought it was worth it. And whatever. She and I got to hang out together. So that was our Saturday night. Some people like to just watch movies. Yeah. I'd much rather chase sports and see some things and hang out with some people. We got to hang out with the radio folks afterwards. I always love hanging out with them. Anyways, we're going to end there. I'm going to stop sharing our screen if I can find whichever tab I left this in. There I am. Look at that. I love that repeating. Stop sharing. It's just me. You don't need to see what I'm doing. Anyways, late night photo flips. I'm sorry. It's the middle of the day. It's about 5 p.m. We got through a few more photos. I'm not going to do it all at once because those are there. We have a lot of photos. We probably logged between her and I 3,200 photos yesterday. That's a lot. That might be a little low. And again, that's my process. Put them on the computer, pull them up, go through them one by one, keep, kill, keep, kill, keep, kill, keep, kill, kill, kill. If you've learned something from this, again, let me know. This was a great way for me to just cut through some photos, share some of our behind the scenes, talk about our day a little bit. Saturday was fun. I mean, like I said, a lot of running, 6 different counties. Maybe it was 7. Did I count Jackson County? Monroe to Juneau to Vernon, through Vernon to Richland, back to Vernon, back to Monroe, back to over to La Crosse, up to Jackson and to Treble. That's a 7-county day. Know your geography, kids. Know where your counties are. If you don't know, we have 72 different counties in the state of Wisconsin. That's pretty cool. That means that I was in almost 1/10 of our counties yesterday. If I would have tried just a wee bit harder, probably could have hit, what would we have been close to? Maybe Adams would have been the closest. Yeah. Or what's north of Trempealeau? Is it Dunn or is it Eau Claire County? One of the two. Anyways, we did pretty well. Again, I'm hoping that you guys learned something from this. It gives me another opportunity to jump on the stream and to talk into the microphone. I probably wander, but that's the way I want to do these late night photo flips or mid Sunday afternoon photo flips. Is keep it pretty low key, and hopefully you guys can glean something from that. If you have ideas or suggestions for us, let us know. We're still trying to figure this thing out. We've still got some nuts and bolts to tighten up and to nail down. And I guess you don't nail down bolts or nuts, but you know what I mean. Anyways, we've got other obligations to take care of tonight. Thanks for following along. We'll get this posted and shared. This is great. Come back tomorrow. We'll post some more photos and some more fun stuff. I appreciate you guys taking a look at our Sunday afternoon photo flips. Hopefully you learned something. We'll catch you at a game next week. It's going to get warmer, I think, or if we're going to get snowier, whatever. You guys have a good weekend. We'll talk to you the next time. And until then, hooray for sports. Oop, and we're going to end the stream. See you later, kids.